Hello, all you beautiful people out there, and welcome to my channel. If you're new, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoy this and I hope you subscribe. For my fans and subscribers, welcome back. You know what today is? And um, first of all, we've got comment of the week. And comment of the week. Um, just a minute. So, this is going back to um, psychology of religion, and it's from Benjamin Falzone. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. My apologies if I didn't. Okay, so there are. I want to read his comment, and then I want to read the comments in comment of that. So, uh, anyway, so Benjamin says you don't even understand what religions are. So I posted an example in the comment below explaining what religions are. I don't expect to get a heart, but that's okay. Well, Benjamin, no, you didn't get a heart. And yes, I do understand what religions are. So then underneath that, he says, I don't believe what anyone says unless they can prove what they say is true beyond any reasonable doubt. And that is something that very rarely happens. Good for you, Benjamin. I don't believe in any kind of psychology. And as far as I'm concerned, psychologists are those who weren't smart enough to become good doctors. I don't believe in religion. Not all religions say amen, for example. Have no idea what that's about. Evolution is a religion. No, it's not. It's science. You really need to get educated on what evolution is. All sports are religion. No, they're not. Your video is about religion. This is true. Churches are religion. True. But God isn't a religion, and the Bible isn't a book about religion. False and false. I don't have a religion. Good for you. And whether you realize it or not, you are preaching religion. No, I'm not. So let's unpack this. Um, so I, I really want to um, hone in on a couple of sentences. I don't believe in any kind of psychology. You know what? It doesn't really matter. And as far as I'm concerned, psychologists are those who weren't smart enough to become good doctors. You obviously have not heard me say that I am not a psychologist. How many times do I have to tell you this? I am not a psychologist. I'm halfway through a mental health counseling degree, but I am not a psychologist. And mental health counselors are not psychologists. And psychologists don't even want to become doctors. Uh, Evolution is a religion. No, it isn't. Evolution is science. Get a goddamn education. I don't know where you got this from, but I'm betting it's somewhere around Kent Hovind, even though you say you don't believe anything that can't be proven. Um, but God isn't a religion, and the Bible isn't a book about religion. God is not real, but God is a part of religion, okay? But God is not real, and the Bible isn't a book about religion. You have got to be kidding me. The Bible is all about fucking religion. The neuropsych says Benjamin Falzone, psychologists are those who weren't smart enough to become good doctors. Fair enough. And then in that case, the priests are those who weren't smart enough to become good psychologists. Good for you, neuropsych. So let me X out of this. Hey, Lisa. So, yeah, I mean, he said, I, 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 I'm not even kidding you. That's what he said. Psychologists are those that weren't good enough to be good doctors or something like that. I'm like, I'm not a psychologist. You would know that if you spent any time watching my channel. I say that all the fucking time. I am not a psychologist. He needs a psychologist, right, Nevermore? So anyway, or three. All right. So anyway, he's probably not going to be on my channel again, but I just wanted to get that out there. You know, I don't know what this guy was thinking. Um, I assume he's a guy because he's got the name Benjamin, but you know, who knows? But you know, I don't really care. I I don't care. You know, if you've got such a low opinion of people, Benjamin, keep your goddamn views to yourself. Nobody needs that shit. Especially people who work their whole lives for something. And especially when most psychologists don't even want to be doctors. So fuck off. All right, no today in history. Um oh, sorry Lisa. So so no today in history. So we'll get to the main event of the day, which is making fun of the Bible. And today we're talking about Micah and his idols. So, chapter 17. Now a man named Micah from the hill country of Ephraim said to his mother, the 1100 shekels of silver that were taken from you and about which I heard you utter a curse, I have that silver with me. I took it. So, apparently this was, I, I didn't go back and read the chapters that I read previously. Um, but the verse before chapter 17 says, then his brothers and his father's whole family went down to get him. This is talking about Samson. So, I have no idea, um, where this story comes from. It sounds like what happened was there was this story, and the scribes didn't know where to put it, so they just tacked it on here. I mean, that's what it sounds like to me. Because as far as I can tell, no there's no introduction to this story. It's just a story that what the fuck, you know? And it's like whatever, So that's all that's what I get. The point of what story, Nevermore? So anyway, moving on. Then his mother said, "The Lord bless you, my son." Okay. Now this is important. Oh, I have no idea, Nevermore. I have no idea. I really don't. Um then his mother said, "The Lord bless you, my son." Okay, so this is important because um the Lord is in all caps, Lord, all capital letters. Now, when you see Lord in all capital letters, it's talking about Yahweh. Um, as far as I know, Yahweh has not been introduced to this part of the Middle East yet. But anyway, so they may be remaking the story um, that was in the Israelite literature and trying to make it match up with their Yahweh only cult. Um, it it's really hard to figure out. Um, I'm not an Old Testament scholar by any means. Uh, so verse 3. When he returned the 1100 shekels of silver to his mother, she said, I solemnly consecrate my silver to the Lord for my son to make an image overlaid with silver. I will give it back to you. So after he returned the silver to his mother, she took 200 shekels of silver and gave them to a silversmith who used them to make an idol, and it was put in Micah's house. So, okay, so right? Right? Hey, big zebra. Yeah, I mean, it's just a mishmash all over the place, isn't it? So anyway, now keep in mind that according to the Bible, the commandments have already been given at Sinai, and they're not supposed to have any idols, even of Yahweh. They're not supposed to have any graven images. So, why would an Ephraimite have a graven image? Huh? What sense does that make? Ephraimite, big zebra, Ephraimite. Hang on, let me spell it for you. And God didn't smite him for having a graven image either. And that's what I'm going to get to right now. Verse 5. Now this man Micah had a shrine. Okay. And he made an ephod and some household gods and installed one of his sons as his priest. In those days, Israel had no king. Everyone did as they saw fit. So, wait a minute. Wait a minute. So, apparently, God's okay with having a silver image made of him, made of Yahweh, okay, even though they're not supposed to have any graven images, even of Yahweh, okay? And then on top of that, the guy's got a household shrine, again, which they're not supposed to have, according to the commandments. And, you know, and in this shrine, not only does he worship Yahweh, he worships other gods. What is going on here? Okay, so verse 7, a young Levite from Bethlehem in Judah, who had been living within the clan of Judah, left that town in search of some other place to stay. On his way, he came to Micah's house in the hill country of Ephraim. Micah asked him, "Where are you from?" "I'm a Levite from Bethlehem in Judah, and I'm looking for a place to stay." Then Micah said to him, "Live with me and be my father and priest, and I'll give you 10 shekels of silver a year, your clothes, and your food." So the Levite agreed to live with him, and the young man became like one of his sons to him. Then Micah installed the Levite, and the young man became his priest and lived in his house. And Micah said, "Now I know that the Lord," capital letters, capital letters, Lord, Yahweh, "now I know that Yahweh will be good to me, since this Levite has become my priest." This makes no sense. This makes no sense. Because according to the law that was supposedly given on Mount Sinai, okay, Levites are supposed to be the priests of Yahweh. What is going on here? I mean, do they have did they just forget about the law on Mount Sinai or something? I mean, seriously, did God forget that he said hey, I'm going to smite you if you make any graven images, even to me, and I'm even going to smite you if you have other gods. Uh, okay. And we have another bizarre story that doesn't fit anywhere in chapter 18. In those days, Israel had no king. And in those days, the tribe of the Danites was seeking a place of their own where they might settle, because they had not yet come into an inheritance among the tribes of Israel. Um, wasn't Moses supposed to give all the tribes their inheritance? And Moses was like a fucking long time ago. So why don't the Danites have their inheritance? I mean, true, this bullshit isn't true, but I, I'm having trouble understanding this, because if you just read this fucking book, you will find out that it's bullshit. Actually, Big Zebra, I don't think he existed to begin with, but that's just me. We haven't found any archaeological proof. All right. Um, verse 2. So the Danites sent 5 of their leading men from Zorah and Ashtaol to spy out the land and explore it. These men represented all the Danites. They told them, go explore the land. What fucking land? What fucking land? I mean, seriously, this is messed up. You know what it sounds like? Honestly, you know what it sounds like? It sounds like these people that wrote Judges were trying to rewrite a Bible story that was found in Deuteronomy. That's what it sounds like. Good point, Big Zebra. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like these people found the story in Deuteronomy, and they're like, "Hey, we can work this in." And you know, oh my fucking god! And now you know why I say Christians don't read their own fucking book. Because if they did, they would realize it doesn't make any goddamn sense. So they entered the hill country of Ephraim and came to the house of Micah, where they spent the night. When they were near Micah's house, they recognized the voice of the young Levite. So they turned in there and asked him, who brought you here? What are you doing in this place? Why are you here? Oh my god. Oh my fucking god. They're they're literally rewriting this book. True, Nevermore. True. Okay. So, verse 4. He told them what Micah had done for him and said, he has hired me and I will be his priest. But didn't he come from Judah? So what the fuck is he doing with the Danites? You see how this doesn't make any sense? Verse 5. Then they said to him, please inquire of God. This is another important thing, okay? They didn't say Lord, all caps. They said God. When Yahweh is met alone, it is Lord in all caps. When you see God or Lord with a uppercase L and lowercase O-R-D, it's usually L, but it could be another God. So again, what what uh never mind. Um so this Levite is supposed to be a priest to Yahweh, but from what I can tell, he's not only a priest to Yahweh because he works in Micah's shrine, and Micah has other gods. It even tells us Micah has other gods. So apparently this Levite was not just a priest to Yahweh, but a priest to other gods. Go figure. Verse 6. The priest answered them, go in peace. Your journey has the Lord's approval. Again, Lord in all caps. They can't make up their mind. So the 5 men left and came to Laish, where they saw that the people were living in safety, like the Sidonians, at peace and secure. And since their land lacked nothing, they were prosperous. Also, they lived a long way from the Sidonians and had no relationship with anybody else. When they returned to Zor and Eshtal, their fellow Danites asked them, how did you find things? They answered, come on, let's attack them. We have seen the land, and it is very good. Is anybody else having flashbacks to Joshua and Caleb? Yes, nevermore. However, that's not what the Christians would have you believe. They would have you believe that the Jews were always monotheistic. Bullshit. In fact, the Jews weren't totally monotheistic until um, probably after the exile, maybe a little bit before the exile, but definitely after the exile is when they became monotheistic. I know, right, Lisa? All right. So anyway, um, so I lost my place. Um, oh, here we go. Um, okay, so let's go back to verse 9. They answered, come on, let's attack them. We have seen the land and it is very good. Aren't you going to do something? Don't hesitate to go over there and take it. When you get there, you will find an unsuspecting people and a spacious land that God has put into your hands, a land that lacks nothing whatever. Mm. Okay. Sorry, I lost my place again. Verse 11. Then 600 men of the Danites, armed for battle, set out from Zorah and Eshtal. On their way, they set up camp near Kiriath Jearim in Judah. This is why the place west of Kiriath Jearim is called Mahanadan to this day. From there, they went on to the hill country of Ephraim and came to Micah's house. Then the 5 men who had spied out the land of Laish said to their fellow Danites, "Do you know that one of these houses has an ephod, some household gods, and an image overlaid with silver? Now you know what to do." So they turned in there and went to the house of the young Levite at Micah's place and greeted him. The 600 Danites, armed for battle, stood at the entrance of the gate. The 5 men who had spied out the land went inside and took the idol, the ephod, and the household gods, while the priest and the 600 armed men stood at the entrance of the gate. When the 5 men went into Micah's house and took the idol, the ephod, and the household gods, the priest said to them, "What are you doing?" They answered him, "Be quiet. Don't say a word. Come with us and be our father and priest. Isn't it better that you serve a tribe and clan in Israel as priest rather than just one man's household?" Oh, God. There's so much dumb fuckery going on. First of all, the tabernacle, I don't know where the fuck the tabernacle is at this time. It doesn't say. We do know later on that the tabernacle was in Shiloh, but I don't think it says where the tabernacle is at this time. So basically, all the priests should be at the tabernacle, right? But they're not, obviously. Verse 20. The priest was very pleased. He took the ephod, the household gods, and the idol, and went along with the people, putting their little children, their livestock, in front of them. Wow! Just, you know, just put your kids out in front of you so they die first, and you can go up the fucking hills, you know? Yeah, that's a good plan. Verse 22. When they had gone some distance from Micah's house, the men who lived near Micah were called together and overtook the Danites. As they shouted after them, the Danites turned and said to Micah, "What's the matter with you, that you called out your men to fight?" He replied, "You took the gods I made, and my priest, and went away. What else do I have? How can you ask, what's the matter with you?" Damn. Verse 25. The Danites answered, "Don't argue with us, or some of the men may get angry and attack you, and you and your family will lose your lives." So the Danites went their way, and Micah, seeing that they were too strong for him, turned around and went back home. Jesus fucking Christ. Verse 27. Then they took what Micah had made and his priest and went on to Laish against a people at peace and secure. They attacked them with the sword and burned down their city. Yep, sounds about right. Sounds about right for the Bible. You know, nobody was attacking these people, but they decide they want to stay where these people are, so they're going to fucking take their land. And might makes right. Right? Well, of course it doesn't. But that doesn't matter to these people. Verse 28, there was no one to rescue them because they lived a long way from Sidon and had no relationship with anyone else. The city was in a valley near Beth Rehob. The Danites rebuilt the city and settled there. They named it Dan after their ancestor Dan, who was born to Israel, though the city used to be called Laish. There the Danites set up for themselves the idol, and Jonathan, son of Gershom, the son of Moses, and his sons were priests for the tribe of Dan until the time of the captivity of the land. They continued to use the idol Micah had made all the time the house of God was in Shiloh. So the tabernacle was in Shiloh. What the fuck is going on here? Chapter 19. In those days, Israel had no king. You know, this is the third time he told us this. You could really use an editor. Now, a Levite who lived in a remote area in the hill country of Ephraim took a concubine from Bethlehem in Judah, but she was unfaithful to him. She left him and went back to her parents' home in Bethlehem, Judah. After she had been there 4 months, her husband went to her to persuade her to return. He had with him his servant and 2 donkeys. She took him into her parents' home, and when her father saw him, he gladly welcomed him. His father-in-law, the woman's father, prevailed on him to stay, so he remained with him 3 days, eating and drinking and sleeping there. On the 4th day they got up early, and he prepared to leave, but the woman's father said to his son-in-law, "Refresh yourself with something to eat. Then you can go." So the 2 of them sat down to eat and drink together. Afterward, the woman's father said, "Please stay tonight and enjoy yourself." And when the man got up to go, his father-in-law persuaded him, so he stayed that night. On the morning of the 5th day, when he rose to go, the woman's father said, "Refresh yourself. Wait till the afternoon." So the 2 of them ate together. Then when the man with his concubine and his servant got up to leave, his father-in-law, the woman's father, said, "Now look, it's almost evening. Spend the night here. The day is nearly over. Stay and enjoy yourself. Early tomorrow morning you can get up and be on your way home." But unwilling to stay another night, the man left and went toward Jebus, that is Jerusalem. I did not make that up, by the way. That is what it says, Jebus. Jebus, with his 2 saddled donkeys and his concubine. Verse 11, when they were near Jebus, and the day was almost gone, the servant said to his master, come, let's stop at this city of the Jebusites and spend the night. His master replied, no, we won't go into any city whose people are not Israelites. We will go on to Gibeah. He added, come, let's try to reach Gibeah or Ramah and spend the night in one of those places. So they went on, and the sun set as they neared Gibeah in Benjamin. There they stopped to spend the night. They went and sat in the city square, but no one took them in for the night. That evening, an old man from the hill country of Ephraim, who was living in Gibeah, the inhabitants of the place were Benjamites, came in from his work in the fields. When he looked and saw the traveler in the city square, the old man asked, where are you going? Where did you come from? He answered, we are on our way to Bethlehem in Judah, to a remote area in the hill country of Ephraim where I live. I have been to Bethlehem in Judah, and now I am going to the house of the Lord. No one has taken me in for the night. We have both straw and fodder for our donkeys, and bread and wine for ourselves, your servants, me, the woman, and the young man with us. We don't need anything. You are welcome at my house, the old man said. Let me supply whatever you need. Only don't spend the night in the square. So he took him into his house and fed his donkeys. After they had washed their feet, they had something to eat and drink. While they were enjoying themselves, some of the wicked men of the city surrounded the house. Pounding on the door, they shouted to the old man who owned the house, bring out the men who came to your house so we can have sex with him. Okay. Anybody else getting flashbacks to Lot and the angels? Really? I mean, really? You're gonna repeat a story that we've already heard? Oh my fucking God. Verse 23. The owner of the house went outside and said to them, no, my friends, don't be so vile. Since this man is my guest, don't do this outrageous thing. Look, here is my virgin daughter and his concubine. Same damn thing Lot did. I will bring them out to you now, and you can use them and do to them whatever you wish. But as for this man, don't do such an outrageous thing. But the men would not listen to him. So the man took his concubine and sent her outside to them, and I'm not going to say that word, and abused her throughout the night, and at dawn they let her go. At daybreak, the woman went back to the house where her master was staying, fell down at the door, and lay there until daylight. When her master got up in the morning and opened the door of the house and stepped out to continue on his way, there lay his concubine, fallen in the doorway of the house, with her hands on the threshold. He said to her, get up and let's go. But there was no answer. Then the man put her on his donkey and set out for home. When he reached home, he took a knife and cut up his concubine limb by limb into 12 parts and set them into all the areas of Israel. Everyone who saw it was saying to one another, such a thing has never been seen or done, not since the day the Israelites came up out of Egypt. Just imagine, we must do something, so speak up. Yeah. Yeah. I have so many things I could say right now. But you know what? I'm not going to, because, oh my God, this story is so fucked up. It's even more fucked up than Lot and his daughters. Chapter 20. Then all Israel from Dan to Beersheba and from the land of Gilead came together as one and assembled before the Lord in Mizpah. The leaders of all the people of the tribes of Israel took their places in the assembly of God's people. 400,000 men armed with swords. The Benjamites heard that the Israelites had gone up to Mizpah. Then the Israelites said, "Tell us how this awful thing happened." So the Levite, the husband of the murdered woman, said, "I and my concubine came from Gibeah in Benjamin to spend the night. During the night, the men of Gibeah came after me and surrounded the house, intending to kill me. They, my concubine, and she died. I took my concubine, cut her into pieces, sent her one piece to each region of Israel's inheritance, because they committed this lewd and outrageous act in Israel." And cutting up a body isn't lewd and outrageous? Verse 7. Now all you Israelites, speak up and tell me what you have decided to do. All the men rose up together as one, saying, "None of us will go home. No, not one of us will return to his house. But now this is what we'll do to Gibeah. We'll go up against it in the order decided by casting lots." They do know that that is gambling, right? "We'll take 10 men out of every 100 from all the tribes of Israel, and 100 from 1,000, and 1,000 from 10,000 to get provisions for the army." I kid you not, that's what it says. I did not make that up. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Then, when the army arrives at Gibeah and Benjamin, it can give them what they deserve for this outrageous act done in Israel. So all the Israelites got together and unified as one against the city. The tribes of Israel sent messengers throughout the tribe of Benjamin, saying, "What about this awful crime that was committed among you? Now turn those wicked men of Gibeah over to us, so that we may put them to death and purge the evil from Israel." But the Benjamites would not listen to their fellow Israelites. From their towns they came together at Gibeah to fight against the Israelites. At once the Benjamites mobilized 26,000 swordsmen from their towns, in addition to 700 able young men from those living in Gibeah. Among all those soldiers there were 700 select troops who were left-handed. Each of them could sling a stone at a hair and not miss. Israel, apart from Benjamin, mustered 400,000 swordsmen, all of them fit for battle. The Israelites went up to Bethel and inquired of God. They said, "Who of us is to go up first to fight against the Benjamites?" The Lord replied, "Judah shall go first." The next morning the Israelites got up and pitched camp near Gibeah. The Israelites went out to fight the Benjamites and took up battle positions against them at Gibeah. The Benjamites came out of Gibeah and cut down 22,000 Israelites on the battlefield that day. I thought you had Yahweh's backing, Israel. But the Israelites encouraged one another and again took up their positions where they had stationed themselves the first day. The Israelites went up and wept before the Lord until evening, and they inquired of the Lord, "Shall we go up again to fight the Benjamites, our fellow Israelites?" The Lord answered, "Go up against them." Then the Israelites drew near to the Benjaminites on the second day. This time, when the Benjamites came out from Gibeah to oppose them, they cut down another 18,000 Israelites, all of them armed with swords. So it sounds to me like God is just sending Israelites to the slaughter because he likes fucking blood. I mean, come on. It's not that hard to figure out. Verse 26. Then all the Israelites, the whole army, went up to Bethel, and there they sat weeping before the Lord. They fasted that day until evening, and presented burnt offerings and fellowship offerings to the Lord. And the Israelites inquired of the Lord. In those days the ark of the covenant of God was there, with Phinehas, son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, ministering before it. They asked, "Shall we go up to fight the Benjamites, our fellow Israelites, or not?" The Lord responded, "Go, for tomorrow I will give them into your hands." Then Israel sent an ambush around Gibeah. They went up against the Benjamites on the third day and took up positions against Gibeah as they had done before. The Benjamites came out to meet them, and drawn away from the city, they began to inflict casualties on the Israelites as before, so that about 30 men fell in the open field and on the roads, the one leading to Bethel and the other to Gibeah. While the Benjamites were saying, "We are defeating them as before," the Israelites were saying, "Let's retreat and draw them away from the city to the roads." All the men of Israel moved from their places and took up positions at Baal Tamar, and the Israelite ambush charged out of its place on the west of Gibeah. And then 10,000 of Israel's able young men made a frontal attack on Gibeah. The fighting was so heavy that the Benjamites did not realize how near disaster was. The Lord defeated Benjamin before Israel, and on that day the Israelites struck down 25,100 Benjamites, all armed with swords. Then the Benjamites saw that they were beaten. Now the men of Israel had given way before Benjamin because they relied on the ambush they had set near Gibeah. Those who had been in ambush made a sudden dash into Gibeah, spread out, and put the whole city to the sword. The Israelites had arranged the ambush that they should send up a great cloud of smoke from the city, and then the Israelites would counterattack. The Benjamites had begun to inflict casualties on the Israelites, about 30, and they said, "We are defeating them as in the first battle." But when the column of smoke began to rise from the city, the Benjamites turned and saw the whole city going up in smoke. Then the Israelites counterattacked, and the Benjamites were terrified because they realized that disaster had come on them. So they fled before the Israelites in the direction of the wilderness, but they could not escape the battle. And the Israelites who had come out of the towns and cut them down, they surrounded the Benjamites, chased them, and easily overran them in the vicinity of Gibeah on the east. 18,000 Benjamites fell, all of them valiant fighters. As they turned and fled toward the wilderness to the rock of Rimmon, the Israelites cut down 5,000 men along the road. They kept pressing after the Benjamites as far as Gittim and struck down 2,000 more. On that day 25,000 Benjamite swordsmen fell, all of them valiant fighters, but 600 of them turned and fled away into the wilderness to the rock of Rimmon, where they stayed 4 months. The men of Israel went back to Benjamin and put all the towns to the sword, including the animals and everything else they found. All the towns they came across they set on fire. What the goddamn fuck did the animals do to you? No, Lisa, it is hyperbole. I mean, it didn't happen. Let's get that straight right now. It didn't happen. But even if it had, it would be hyperbole. Tell me about it, Lisa. All right. Ugh. Chapter 21. I had to catch my breath. I had to catch my breath, people. This is last chapter, thank goodness. I don't think I could stand another chapter of this shit. Alright, last chapter. The men of Israel had taken an oath at Mizpah. Not one of us will give his daughter in marriage to a Benjamite. The people went to Bethel, where they sat before God until evening, raising their voices and weeping bitterly. Lord, God of Israel, they cried, why does this happen to Israel? Why should one tribe be missing from Israel today? Early the next day, the people built an altar and presented burnt offerings and fellowship offerings. Then the Israelites asked, who from all the tribes of Israel has failed to assemble before the Lord? For they had taken a solemn oath that anyone who failed to assemble before the Lord at Mizpah was to be put to death. These people are just bloodthirsty. There's there's no other way to put this. They're just bloodthirsty. That's all. There's no excuse. No excuse. Verse 6. Now the Israelites grieved for the tribe of Benjamin, their fellow Israelites. But you're the ones that fucking killed them, you idiots. Today, one tribe is cut off from Israel, they said. How can we provide wives for those who are left, since we have taken an oath by the Lord not to give them any of our daughters in marriage? Then they asked, which of the tribes of Israel failed to assemble before the Lord at Mizpah? They discovered that no one from Jabesh, Gilead, had come to the camp for the assembly. For when they counted the people, they found that none of the people of Jabesh Gilead were there. I'd like to know how they figured that one out. Seriously, I'd like to know how they figured that one out. There's no fucking way that people from another town 10, 15, 20 miles away would know what other town didn't come. Verse 10. So the assembly sent 12,000 fighting men with instructions to go to Jabesh Gilead and put to the sword those living there, including the women and children. Why? The women and children didn't take the oath? I mean, seriously. First of all, first of all, it's not a crime to say, you know what, I'm just not going to go fucking up because this is like really fucked up. You know, that's not a crime, you know. But even if it was, what did the women and children do? They didn't take a fucking vow. This book is messed up. It's fucked up. And anybody who says it is not fucked up and stands by it is as fucked up as the book is. Verse 11. This is what you are to do, they said. Kill every male and every woman who is not a virgin. They found among the people living in Jabesh Gilead 400 young women who had never slept with a man, and they took them to the camp at Shiloh in Canaan. Then the whole assembly sent an offer of peace to the Benjamites at the rock of Rimmon. So the Benjamites returned at that time and were given the women of Jabesh Gilead who had been spared, but there were not enough for all of them. What the fuck? Actually, Lisa, it's the Holy Babel. WHOLLYBABBLE. Holy Babel. That's what it is. And anybody, let me say this again. Anybody who thinks that this is a good book, that this is a book to live your life by, is as fucked up as the book. And I don't apologize for that. All right, verse 13. Then the whole assembly sent and offered. Okay, hang on. I lost my place. Okay, verse 15. The people grieved for Benjamin because the Lord had made a gap in the tribes of Israel. You're the ones that fucking killed him. You're the ones that fucking killed him. That is a very good question, Lisa. Very good question. I have no fucking clue. The people grieved for Benjamin because the Lord had made a gap in the tribes of Israel. And there you go, folks. Blame it on God. God told us to do it. Verse 16. And the elders of the assembly said, with the women of Benjamin destroyed, how shall we provide wives for the men who are left? The Benjamite survivors must have heirs, they said, so that a tribe of Israel will not be wiped out. We can't give them our daughters as wives, since we Israelites have taken this oath. Cursed be anyone who gives a wife to a Benjamite. But look, there is the annual festival of the Lord in Shiloh, which lies north of Bethel, east of the road that goes from Bethel to Shechem, and south of Lebonah. So they instructed the Benjamites, saying, go and hide in the vineyards and watch. When the young women of Shiloh come out to join in the dancing, rush from the vineyards, and each of you seize one of them to be your wife. Then return to the land of Benjamin. Oh, great. Great advice, Israel. Just kidnap some fucking wives. Verse 22. When their fathers or brothers complain to us, we will say to them, do us the favor of helping them, because we did not get wives for them during the war. You will not be guilty of breaking your oath, because you did not give your daughters to them. So that is what the Benjamites did. While the young women were dancing, each man caught one and carried her off to be his wife. Then they returned to their inheritance and rebuilt the towns and resettled them. So wait a minute. Let me get this straight. The Israelites tell the Benjamites, well, you know what? There's a loophole here. We can't give you our daughters, but if you kidnap women, then technically we're not giving them to you. So, that's a loophole. So you can do that. What is this? And now you know why you don't read the entire Bible in Sunday school or church. All right, we got a couple of verses left. Verse 24. At that time, the Israelites left that place and went home to their tribes and clans, each to his own inheritance. In those days, Israel had no king. Everyone did as they saw fit. You people really need an editor. Oh my fucking God. It is so fucked up. I know, right, Nevermore? Well, you know what? Technically, we can't give you our daughters because we made an oath to God. We can't give you our daughters, but nothing says you can't kidnap them. What? Are you fucking kidding me? Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, let me calm down. Oh my God. That just, oh my God. That was like, I don't know. I don't know. What was that? I've heard of her, Lisa. I haven't watched anything on her, but I've heard of her because I do watch some true crime channels. I just don't, I haven't watched anything that features her, but I have heard of her. What is wrong with these people? And what is wrong with people who think who think that this is a moral book, that this is a book that you should follow, that this is a book you should live your life by. Christians, I want to thank you that you do not follow this book because you have more morals than your God. You have higher morals than your God. Don't follow this fucking book. I'm sorry, Nevermore. Have a great day. And actually, I'm going to get off too. So, anyway, have a great day. You, um, if you like this kind of content, if you like me ripping the Bible another asshole, uh, hit the like button or the dislike button. I don't fucking care. Uh, Hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, and if you would like to join this channel and help me make more content, you can join for as little as 99 cents a month. And, you know, anyway, have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow for Atheist Church. Bye.